Well, 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 look at what we have here. It appears I'm it again. Thanks to TYS205, I've been tagged. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is get rid of this thing. Hello and welcome to another episode of Minecraft Realms, where today I'm starting things back off at my new harbour, where I haven't made that much progress on this ship. But I've put in the places where I think the mast should go, and I've got some great plans to both expand the harbour, put a few more ships in, and finish off this ship. But the first order of business is getting rid of this thing that I've just managed to get while I'm off camera in between episodes. And that thing is the tag. Now I believe Star Strider, or whatever he calls himself, is over here, so I'm going to try and get him today. Now, let's have a look. Is Star around here? No, this is his base after all, and I'm expecting him to be here, but it doesn't quite look like it. I'm not sure, so I'm going to have to keep looking around, and when I see him I'm going to start recording again. Well, after about an hour of waiting, Star Strider finally logged off, so without me tagging him, so I'm going to move on to something else while I wait for him to come back. Now, one thing I do want to do is expand the harbour just like in this format, so the stone and the spruce whatever this is, I want that to expand all the way around the harbour, around where that river is, around here, and finishing off probably around here, and do the same just around this bit, so it looks like a nice modern, I suppose, not modern, but a nice medievalish entrance. And this, of course, is going to be nice and big. I probably won't put any jetties out here because that's going to take up too much room. I may put one at the very end, but unfortunately I'm just about out of spruce wood, so it's time to fire up this tree farm for the first time and start getting up that spruce wood. And after a little bit of placing the saplings and getting them bone mealed in this tree farm, this is what I've managed to get up, the 132 trees. And then it's now time for me to start trimming them all down, and I'll show you exactly how much I get when I'm finished. And a few minutes later I finally managed to I've got this many stacks of logs. It was, let me see, 9, 14 and 1 extra log. So 14 and 1 extra log from that many trees, and that's quite a good effort. So I'm now going to dump that into my storage, leaving a few for my harbour, and then get started on the harbour again. And looking at this ship, I've now put in the 3 masts. However, while the back one looks about right, the middle two are just a little bit too close. I think I need to put this middle mast a couple more blocks forward, and then this one double that. So maybe push this one twice more to the left, and this one 2 more blocks to the left, and this one 4 blocks forward, and we'll see how that looks in a minute. And just examining that second mast, it is a little bit taller, and I think if it went 1 more block taller it would be good. I have now moved it 2 blocks to the left as we're looking at it, so I think that looks a little bit better. And if I'm to put the third and final mast around here, I think that would look quite nice. So again, I'm going to do that and come back and see it. And those masts are now complete. I think that it still looks a little bit off, and I'm thinking put a short mast here with I think it's called a jib at the front, and a little of the same at the back. And again, I'm thinking of using some of those many iron bars I used when creating this to have some support ropes coming to the sides, so from here down to here, and so on and so forth, and again for the jib up the front, and again, and possibly in between the fronts. What I also need to thinking of doing is splitting these into a couple of sails, because if this was one big sail, it would come up possibly like I'm drawing the line like that, something like that, so it would actually crash into the front of this one. So if we had a couple of smaller sails, it would not crash into the mast in front of it, which isn't a very good idea for sails. And there we go, the ship has now got sails. Now these two ones, the back and the front, are quite similar, so they are exactly the same actually. This middle one took a little bit more effort because I tried to do it with the same design as the front and back sails and didn't quite look the same, and I usually do the sails just like the front I do at the front and the back. However, I needed to go with something different because I needed the middle mast to have, the main mast to have the biggest sails as well as a little bit taller, and I tried going with 3 sails on the top and it just didn't quite fit. The bottom sail would be reefed at this level, and that would be too much. It would be blowing right on the deck as the wind goes through the masts, so that didn't quite work out. Anyway, moving on from there, the next step is to connect these masts to these posts, whatever you would call them on the ship, because at the moment these masts are just freestanding, and that's not very good for things that are supposed to take the weight of sails blowing on them. And after a bit of testing with both the iron bars and with a bit of the fences, I've come to the determination that putting in iron bars, while it would actually make the ship look more functional, it doesn't actually give the ship a nice look. So I'm going to abandon the idea of putting effectively ropes to hold up these masts. However, moving on from that, you can look at the decks of the ship, and that behind each mast I've now put in the entrance to what's below the decks. Now I've got some great plans for here. I'm planning to put in the sleeping quarters, the hammock. We're going to be hammocks for each of the crew, as well as fit in some things. Now I need to leave these bits here because this is part of my plans for the next part of this episode, which I'm going to reveal to you when I finish up the hammocks. So I'm going to go back above decks and get the resources that I need for the hammocks and whatnot. Now you may note with the number of beds in my inventory, as you can see there, that I'm thinking of using the hammocks as beds, so people can actually sleep in here. Now I'm not quite sure where to put them, because again this area is going to be quite busy with everything. However, I think if I had a subtle second deck below here, which would be on this, but then that would leave. Yes, actually, you can actually get up here. So I think I'll have effectively 2 decks. So I need to cover this up first, and then I can have a second deck, a double-decked ship in here. I'm not sure if you can actually classify it as a double deck because it doesn't go the length of the entire ship, but it will have to do, because especially since this bit's going to be a different part of a level, and the bottom deck, the bottom bit right at the bottom of the ship, is going to be a completely different part. So I'm going to continue fixing that up, and then we'll get started on the hammocks again. Alrighty, and here we are. The 2 decks have now been separated. I'll just go up to the second deck. So this bit is quite nice here, and unfortunately you can't quite get under there, so I'm going to might have to do a bit of work there. But of course, when you go below into the bottom deck, you can actually get into this area. It's a little bit of a squish, so I might take this bit out here, and there we go. So now finally it's time to work on those hammocks. Now they're all going to be in the bottom deck, because this is actually below the water line, and for the next project I need that bit to be above the water line. So let's see, I can use spruce trapdoors. So if I say put a bed, if I put a bed there, then if I was to do that, don't think I can put a bed on top of that. No, I can't. That's a bit of a pity. That's going to reduce the effectiveness of these so-called hammocks. Oh well, I guess I can just put the beds. I can just put the beds back to back to back to back along here. So I'll just line them along the sides of the ship. And I do need a few more. Thankfully I've got a lot of wool somewhere in here. Yeah, I've got 57 white wool, as well as some grey wool, which I'm pretty sure I made up earlier. Now I've got 41 dye and I got 57 white wool. That's where it's supposed to be. So let's make that up. White wool, 44 of them, and then some wood, 64 of that, and then let's make some beds. I don't think I need too many. That should be enough. I'll dump off the stick, and let's go get below decks again and get started on some more. Now, one thing that Fall of Night has managed to do is show exactly how dark this can get below decks, and you can see on this deck as well that it's pretty dark as well. So what I do need to get is some torches. I can't really use glowstone because they wouldn't have had that in the time when they built these ships, so I'm going to have to go back off to my storage and get some coal and get some sticks. Or I don't really need sticks, but I've got with all the wood, but I do need some coal. And as you can see, I've now put torches on the masts, which I would have thought the most logical place. I do the same on this deck over here, and it strikes me that it strikes me that this deck is actually slightly bigger, but it's the same one full block here, then the half here and the half here, so it's the same height as the deck just below it. So there we go. I think that's complete, and I can't actually get below again. I need to remember that, so maybe I need to take out these blocks here as well. Let's find my axe, and that should provide me with a nice. I should get rid of these as well. and my axe broke. That's a pity. So when that breaks, that should provide me with enough leverage, or not height leverage, enough height to get below into the bottom deck, the sleeping deck. So obviously this is not the deck that carries cargo, if there is any cargo, because I'm starting to change my mind as to exactly the nature of this ship. Now, I mentioned that I was going to start to change the nature of the ship. Now, it can't really carry a lot of cargo, but what it can do, with the 2 decks I've now put in, is carry cannon. So what I'm thinking is that this is going to be a warship of sorts, and for that I do need cannon. So I'm going to use black concrete powder once I finish mining it, and I'm going to work on a design for the cannons, as well as put them into both the above deck and the first deck that's just below the waterline, just above the waterline. And it turns out quite nicely because I've managed to build this ship with a couple of blocks there. So the cannon are probably going to go on this line over here, and the same on the other side, and they will also go above deck, or on the main deck, and that will work quite nicely. I'm yet to figure out exactly how many cannons these ships are going to have, but that is again something that I'm going to work on as I make the cannon. Now that I've got the concrete, what I'm thinking is that I'm going to build the cannon on the top story first, or not the top story, the top deck first. So let's have a look at this one. I need it to be, now I can't figure out if I want it to be at this level and just expand from there. So just a little bit out, maybe 1 or 2, and then do something at the back here, like a button and some extra bits. Or that if I do it, one more block above the level, above deck level, so that means something like, let's have a spruce staircase, just to pillar it up, and then we'll have some black concrete, and 1, 2, no, that definitely looks worse, I think. Let's have a look on from the island and have a look as to which one would look better. I can't really make it out from this side. It sort of depends. Like I would want to have something underneath the cannon, I think, to give it a little bit of a depth, and I think I should have something on top of the cannon as well to make it look a little bit more like a cannon, because at the moment it's just a black thing jutting out from the cannon. So maybe something on top, in the front of the cannon, to make it the mouth of the cannon, but definitely not this one. So definitely the one that's on the level of the deck. And of course I'm going to have to figure the same for below the decks, because I don't want the 2 cannons above and below to line up. So again, something I have to work out as I build. And there we go. It's probably not the best cannons looking in the world, and it can definitely be improved, but I think that's the best look I can get the ship to have. Anyway, you may note that I've got some spruce trapdoors on the top, and that is mainly because that, in theory, the cannons would be pushed back and these flaps would be closed, so to prevent water coming in during storms. Now, I'm just going to leave it like this because I think it looks better to have the cannons all out, especially when there isn't actually any movement in the game. So I'm going to leave it like that, and now I think it's time to replicate this on the bottom on the other side as well. I'm yet to come to a decision as to whether I want the fences here as well. I'm thinking of putting, actually I could use fence gates, I think, if I have the resources, which of course I do. I need some wood, I need some sticks. Let's make a whole stack of sticks with the jungle log. That's not exactly what I want. Oh no, I've run out of room. There we go, so let's dump that in. And some more sticks. Now I can make some spruce fences, which I need some more wood for, I think. As is always the case, I'm always running out of the resources in my inventory to make this stuff. Alright, there we go, fence gates. Let's go, I need a fair few of them. Let's just get the full 16 and see how we go. Alrighty, this thing is starting to look a little bit more complete. All the cannons are in, all the masts, all the sails are in. There's a few more things I would like to do. I'd like to turn this bit into a captain's cabin of sorts. I'd like to put some chests in for storage, and I should put that fence in. Actually no, that's the walkway. I want to, yeah, this pink thing just looks a little bit plain at the moment, so I do need to put in some more chests and whatnot, just to spruce this thing up a little bit more. And I'm really not sure what to put in this place. I've got a chest, a sea chest, and I've got a bed, but I don't really know what else I can put in here. And the annoying thing is that this thing is actually is half a block below what normal things are. So if I were to put a chest, it's going to rest there, and I can't reduce the thing by one more level, because if you come down here, it's right below here, and that is already filled with stuff. This, by the way, is some mini storage for all the cannons and balls and the shot and all that stuff that you need to fire a cannon, as well as a bit of resources for food and whatnot. Anyway, moving back up the top. Yeah, as I said, I'm not really sure what to do with this, so I might just leave it for now. Other than that, I believe I'm ready to call this ship finished, and I've also got a name for it, which I probably should have mentioned at the start of the video. I'm going to call it the Defiance. And now that that's done, I can now get rid of all the stuff in here. I really should move this stuff away from this chest, because it is actually blocking up the gangplank onto the Defiance. But I do have other plans and other ships to build, so that's going to have to come later. The next step I've got for today, which isn't that much of a big one, is to continue the harbour around. So from here all the way around, and then probably build something across here that signifies exactly what this harbour is. Something dug into the wall, something slightly modern-ish, that sort of doesn't quite, now that I think about it, modern doesn't quite fit with this, but I've got an idea of what I want. The idea may come from modern stuff, but I'm going to try and build it in a medieval-ish aspect, so that it'll be the sign for the entrance of the port. Anyway, I'm going to get started on the rest of the harbour now. And while I'm gathering out the resources, it's a good chance for me to look at the ship from a distance, and I really do think it looks quite a bit like a warship, or at least a sailing ship from the distance. From up close it looks like a warship, but in the distance it just looks like a regular sailing ship, so I think that's a good job done. Well, I've just made a big mistake. Take a look at the side on this side. You can see the spruce and the cobblestone. Now you can look at this side and you can just see spruce, and the cobblestone is one layer below the water. So this side is actually one block higher than this side. That's a big mistake. I'm going to have to rip this all up, or at least the spruce side of it. I'm going to have to rip it all up and begin again. Well, look at what we have here. It's not Star, but TO Impact. I think I'll get him. And there we go, tagged. Well, that was a bit of fun. I finally managed to get rid of that tag. Even though I hadn't had it for very long, I've now got rid of it to TO Impact. And hopefully he can go tag someone else, not Iroh, because he's been tagged recently, but hopefully the tag passes on and the game can restart and everyone can start getting tagged again. And after a couple of hours, it's time to provide you with an update before I eat first. Bit of beef, there we go. So as you can see, I've started putting the harbour on that side, and I've curved this harbour all the way around to here. Now I'm still yet to decide how I'm going to handle with the river over here. So what I was thinking is that some of the ships can go around the river and exit the harbour out this side, but this big ship is not going to be able to make it around, especially since it's going to have to be straight all the way, and this river is definitely not wide enough or deep enough. And I'll just show you an example of that. As you can see, the river does curve quite sharply, so only small ships will be able to exit through there. As a result, I'm not going to be allowing ships to go through there. I'm just going to build up the harbour. So that's the update for today, and now I'm going to continue with the stone. As you see, I didn't quite finish the stone on this side here. And there we go, that section has now been cobbled up. There's still a whole lot to do around here. There's still to build up all the buildings on this side, or to flatten this bit and build up this part of the docklands, to finish up that area there, because that's just a single line of wood and cobble. Yeah, there's a lot more to do in here. But unfortunately, that's all I've got time for today. So if you have liked this video, with mostly the shipbuilding and the harbour building, remember to leave a like and subscribe, and don't forget to keep watching out for more of these videos. Goodbye!